Welcome back, history enthusiast. Today, we're diving into a topic that's as fascinating as it is misunderstood: the hidden lives of male concubines in the Ottoman Empire. Section 1. The Ottoman Empire's openness to male concubine. The Ottoman Empire, which spanned from the 14th to the early 20th century, was a complex and multifaceted civilization. One of the lesser-known aspects of Ottoman society was its relatively open attitude towards male concubines. These young men were often slaves or captives from conquered territories, brought into the imperial harem to serve the Sultan and his court. Contrary to the more conservative Islamic societies of the time, the Ottoman Empire did not strictly categorize sexualities. The empire was influenced by a blend of Islamic law, known as Sharia, and customary law, known as Qanun. This legal framework allowed for a certain level of flexibility in personal relationships, including those involving male concubines. The concept of male concubinage was not unique to the Ottoman Empire. It existed in various forms in other Islamic and even non-Islamic societies. However, what set the Ottomans apart was the institutionalization of this practice. The Sultan himself was often involved in the selection process, and the chosen young men would undergo rigorous education and training. They were taught languages, arts, and even military tactics, making them valuable assets to the empire. The role of male concubines was not merely sexual. They often served as confidants and advisors to the Sultan. Some even rose to high-ranking positions in the imperial administration, such as the Grand Vizier, the Sultan's chief minister. This was a win-win situation for both parties. The Sultan gained a trusted advisor, while the concubine received social mobility, something almost impossible under other circumstances. However, it's essential to note that while male concubinage was accepted, it was not universally celebrated. The practice was mostly confined to the elite classes and was not openly discussed in broader society. Nevertheless, it was an integral part of the Ottoman court life, reflecting the empire's complex attitudes towards sexuality and power dynamics. Section 2. The role of male concubines. The role of male concubines in the Ottoman Empire was multifaceted and evolved over time. Initially, these young men were primarily sexual companions for the Sultan and other high-ranking officials. However, as the empire expanded and became more complex, their roles diversified. Many male concubines were educated in the Enderun, the imperial school located within the palace. Here, they were taught various subjects including Islamic theology, mathematics, and multiple languages. This education prepared them for roles beyond mere companionship. They became secretaries, administrators, and even military commanders. Some male concubines achieved significant power and influence. For example, during the reign of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, a male concubine named Ibrahim Pasha rose to the position of Grand Vizier, the highest administrative position in the empire. His influence was so great that foreign dignitaries often had to go through him to gain an audience with the Sultan. However, the rise to power for male concubines was fraught with danger. The Ottoman court was a hotbed of intrigue and political maneuvering, and the concubines had to navigate this treacherous landscape carefully. Many were victims of palace coups, often orchestrated by rival factions who saw them as threats. Despite these challenges, male concubines played a crucial role in the administration and governance of the Ottoman Empire. They were not merely passive figures but active participants in the empire's political and cultural life. Their contributions are a testament to the empire's complex social structure, where opportunities for upward mobility existed, albeit within a rigid framework of hierarchy and privilege. Section 3. The changing tides. The Ottoman Empire underwent significant transformations over its long history, and these changes were reflected in its attitudes towards male concubines and homosexuality. During the empire's early and middle periods, male concubines were relatively accepted and even held positions of power. However, by the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the empire's attitudes began to shift. This change was partly due to the empire's increasing interactions with Western powers, which brought new ideas and norms, including those related to sexuality. Additionally, the empire was undergoing internal reforms, known as Tanzimat, aimed at modernizing the state and society. These reforms were influenced by Western legal and social systems, which were less tolerant of homosexuality. The decline in the status of male concubines was also a reflection of broader societal changes. As the empire faced military defeats and territorial losses, there was a turn towards conservatism and a more rigid interpretation of Islamic law. This shift was exacerbated by the rise of nationalist movements within the empire, which often promoted traditional values at the expense of the more cosmopolitan aspects of Ottoman society. By the early 20th century, the role of male concubines had diminished significantly. The empire itself was in decline, and the once powerful institution of the harem was disbanded. The changing attitudes towards male concubines were a microcosm of the broader transformations that the empire was undergoing, from a multi-ethnic, relatively tolerant society to a more homogenized and conservative one. It's essential to understand these changes within the context of the empire's complex history. The decline in the status of male concubines was not an isolated phenomenon, but part of broader social, political, and cultural transformations. Section 4. The influence of the West. The influence of Western powers on the Ottoman Empire was profound and affected various aspects of life, including attitudes towards male concubines and homosexuality. Starting from the 18th century, the empire began to engage more closely with European powers, both diplomatically and culturally. This engagement brought new ideas, including Western concepts of sexuality and morality. In the pre-modern Ottoman Empire, sexuality was understood differently than in the West. There were no strict categories of homosexual or heterosexual, and relationships between men were not necessarily stigmatized. However, as the empire modernized and adopted Western legal codes and social norms, these attitudes began to change. The Tanzimat reforms of the 19th century were a turning point. These reforms aimed to modernize the empire along Western lines and included changes to the legal system that made it less tolerant of homosexuality. While the reforms did not explicitly criminalize same-sex relations, they led to a more conservative atmosphere that stigmatized these relationships. The influence of the West was not merely a top-down process imposed by the elite, but was also embraced by various segments of society. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw the rise of a Western-educated middle class, who were often more conservative in their social attitudes than the traditional elite. This complex interplay between Western influence, internal reforms, and changing social attitudes led to the decline of male concubines in the Ottoman Empire. It's a fascinating example of how external influences can interact with local traditions, leading to significant social changes. Section 5. The Legacy Today, a deep dive into historical and modern interpretation. The legacy of male concubines in the Ottoman Empire is a subject that has been the focus of academic scrutiny, cultural curiosity, and social debate. While the empire itself dissolved in the early 20th century, the stories, experiences, and societal roles of these male concubines continue to offer a unique lens through which to understand the complexities of history, culture, and human relationship. Academic research. In the academic realm, the study of male concubines in the Ottoman Empire has gained traction in recent years. Historians and social scientists have delved into archival materials such as court records, personal letters, and diplomatic correspondences to piece together the lives of these individuals. One notable work is Leslie Pearce's The Imperial Harem, which, although primarily focused on female concubines, also sheds light on the roles and statuses of male concubines. These academic endeavours have helped to challenge traditional narratives that often reduced male concubines to mere sexual objects or pawns in political games. Popular culture. The renewed academic interest has spilled over into popular culture. In Turkey, which is the successor state to the Ottoman Empire, television series like Muhteşem Yüzyıl, The Magnificent Century, have portrayed the lives of male concubines alongside their female counterparts. While these portrayals are often dramatized for entertainment, they have sparked public interest and debate about this overlooked aspect of Ottoman history. Modern Turkey's perspective. In modern Turkey, the legacy of male concubines is a subject of both fascination and controversy. On one hand, Turkey is a country that has embraced its Ottoman past as part of its national identity. Museums, historical sites, and even political rhetoric often hark back to the empire's glory days. However, when it comes to the subject of male concubines and homosexuality, there is a noticeable ambivalence. Turkey has a complex relationship with LGBTQ rights. While homosexuality is not illegal, societal attitudes can be conservative and discrimination exists in various forms. Legal framework. It's worth noting that Turkey has not followed some other Muslim-majority countries in criminalizing homosexuality. However, there are no legal protections against discrimination based on sexual orientation. This legal grey area creates a challenging environment for the LGBTQ community, which can be seen as a modern reflection of the empire's complex attitudes towards male concubine. Social attitudes. Public opinion in Turkey on LGBTQ issues is divided. According to a 2015 Pew Research Center study, only 27% of Turks said that society should accept homosexuality. This statistic is often cited to highlight the conservative attitudes that still prevail, especially in rural areas and among older generations. However, it's essential to note that there is a vibrant Ligbut community in Turkey, particularly in major cities like Istanbul and Ankara. These cities host annual pride events and have numerous LGBT organizations and venues. The role of media and literature. The media and literature also play a significant role in shaping the legacy of male concubines. Turkish newspapers and magazines often feature articles that explore this aspect of Ottoman history, sometimes as a way to discuss broader issues related to sexuality and gender in Turkey. Similarly, novels and films that touch on the subject often generate public discussion and can influence social attitudes. The international context. The legacy of male concubines in the Ottoman Empire also has an international dimension. As the empire included diverse ethnic and religious groups and spanned 3 continents, the experiences of male concubines were not confined to what is now modern-day Turkey. In countries that were once part of the empire, such as Greece, Lebanon, and the Balkan states, the legacy of male concubines is sometimes invoked in discussions about national history and identity. If you want to learn more, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more disturbing history mysteries